this is shining as brightly as ever. It's a delightful take on the romantic comedy, and it's a real pleasure to have her here back in competition. Please help me welcome to the stage a really talented director, Maria Maggenti.
This is it's a big movie in a little package. We made it in New York City, on location in New York City. It's about that wonderful universal problem of what do you do when you have two lovers. I know all of you can relate to that. I have my gorgeous actor, Kirk here, who plays the part of Philip. Some of you might have seen him in flannel pajamas, which also features my other actress, Julianne Nicholson, who plays Samantha in my film. He's a very sweet guy. And
he's the only one left in town. So
he's the only one left in town. Listen, I'm going to hang out afterwards for the question and answer. I just want to tell you one thing. This film is about a New York that is a village. A New York where you run into people that you know, you listen to music, you have conversations. You might actually know a little bit about Freud, and it's also a comedy, so I hope you're feeling relaxed and that you want to have a couple of chuckles, and I'll be here so I'll know what you're doing. And then afterwards we'll have a couple of questions and answers, and I'm so honored to be here. Thank you to Jeff Gilmore, and this film is made by Indigent, which is an extraordinary company, my knight in shining armor. Thank you very much, and I'll be here afterwards. Bye. I don't know where my Sundance partner is, but here I am. And thank you so much for staying for the Q&A. I'm just going to tell you a couple things, and I can't wait to take your questions and answers. This movie was made in 18 days on location in New York City. It took me 7 years. Well, actually 10 years to get it made. 7 years since I wrote the script, but 10 years since I was here at Sundance. I was here as my first film, The Incredibly True Adventure of Two Girls in Love. And yeah, aren't these actors great? I think they're so beautiful. Again, I want to thank Jeff Gilmore and the programmers at Sundance for inviting us here. And I want to let you know that it's because of Indigent that I was able to make this film. Indigent has an extraordinary model for filmmakers. I was lucky enough to be one of the filmmakers they chose to make a film this past year. And now I'm going to open it up to you guys. So, okay, we got one right in the front. Go ahead.
Why did you choose to put the prologue in?
Okay.
Is there a reason you did that, rather than just let that surprise happen later in the film?
Okay, so he asked me why did I put the prologue in. As you know, the film opens at Turandot, one of, this is Puccini's last opera. This film was a very tight script. It was 102 pages, but the first cut was 113 minutes. What you just saw was 82 minutes. So we made some very tough choices in a very short time. We had a real problem getting into Allegra's head, figuring out who this character was. And it was my editor, Sue Graff, who also cut my first film, Two Girls in Love, who's my soul sister, my creative everything. And she said, we were desperate, and she said, why don't we take the climactic moment of the film and put it at the very beginning and then kind of work backwards from there. She thought of that part, and I thought, well, golly, you know, in an opera you have a prologue, act 1, 2, 3, and an epilogue. So that's why we ended up with the prologue. Okay. Hey, listen, is Luke here? Luke, are you still here? Luke, are you still here?
Yes.
So what'd you think, Luke?
I liked it.
You liked it? Okay, that was my gorgeous mathematician Mormon driver yesterday, and I just want to see how it fell with him, you know, because he heard me blib-blabbing, and I want to make sure that I didn't come off as a complete fake. So you laughed, Luke?
I did.
Good, good. What about the lady friend? What about the lady friend? Yeah, you're all right? Everybody's still here? Right on. Okay, now we can move on. Now we can move on. Okay, next question. Golly, wow. You guys just want to look at me, huh? Okay, there's got to be a question out there. There's got to be a question. Yes, right here.
I was just wondering how much of this is about you.
Yeah, no, I just saw people like this. You know, New York's a funny town. Yeah, I'll be honest with you guys, because it's an intimate audience. I was a lesbian for a long time, and then I fell in love with my man, and my life was turned upside down. It wasn't as funny as this. It was actually kind of tragic and horrible. I mean, love is good, but you know. And then I was trying to figure out, well, you know, it's a little bit of time passed, like 6 years, and I was still with this guy. And you know, the bar fights were over, and all the lesbies were kind of mad at me. But then people started forgiving me, it was a traitor. Anyway. Over time, it became like kind of a good scenario. You know, I don't have an imagination, so if whatever happens in my life, I'm kind of desperate, I try to use it. I will tell you, however, that this particular script was developed here at the Sundance Writers Lab in 1996, after my first film came out, but it was embedded in a larger script that was 165 pages. For the filmmakers in the audience, you know, you should never write a 165-page script. It was all of these characters plus their parents. Really funny. So I had Wesley Strick and Walter Bernstein, who were my mentors here at the Sundance Writers Lab, and they said, Maria, you've got a really nice little story in here about this woman who falls in love with a man, and then a woman, and then finds out that the man and the woman are ex-boyfriend and girlfriend. Why don't you just tease that out and see if you can do something with it? And it was originally called Us, Them, and Me, meaning there's an us and there's a them, and then there was Allegra. And it's really funny because over the course of the last 7 years, not only did I change, but the world around me changed. So the understanding of sexuality and where one kind of considers his or her place in the universe began to become more expansive. The original conflict for Allegra in this script was, oh my God, I'm a lesbian, I slept with a man. Over time, that became less and less of the conflict, and instead it was, what was her particular conflict as an individual? She couldn't say I love you, and she couldn't make a commitment. And the script reflects that now, I think, more than it did in its original incarnation. So yeah, it does have a little relationship to me.
It was very, very funny.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know how you worked to get that kind of humor in this kind of desperate story. Okay,
desperate story and comedy. Personally, I think they go together. I mean, you saw Brokeback Mountain, right? Okay, let me just tell you guys something, because again, we're in an intimate filmmaker-oriented audience. My first cut didn't get a laugh. My second cut got a couple of chuckles. My third cut got a chuckle and maybe a guffaw. And maybe by the fourth cut, when we were getting down to about 80, 89, 90 minutes, we started to really see the comedy. On the page, it was very, very funny. And everyone would tell me that, and that's how I got these wonderful actors. They thought, wow, this is really incredibly funny. The comedy works really, and all films really are, I think, constructed in the editing room, and this film is no different. We need to really make it incredibly fat-free, really, really lean. So much of comedy is about juxtaposition of images and then the cut itself, which creates the comic moment. You know, I don't know what to say about why it's comic, except that I'm an incredibly unhappy, miserable person. So that means that a lot of things are incredibly funny to me, because otherwise I would kill myself. So that's how I kind of, you know, it wasn't funny when I was in it, let me put it that way. But, you know, a little time passes, you get near 40. For those of you who are near 40, you don't, right? I mean, you know, things start seeming kind of funny. I don't know what it's like at 50, but I'm sure it's a lot better.